So that is when we eventually we get to the last day. I guess we'll say it, spoilers. And he gives a very eloquent speech at Groundhog Day, moves everyone, and they're all loving his speech. He's even up on stage giving it for his for the broadcast, and that's when Rita starts to really take notice of him, especially helping the people of Punxsutawney. So that night, she witnesses him playing piano expertly as they go to the Punxsutawney celebration dinner. He's sitting on stage just going on to that piano. I mean, it is such a kick-ass scene. I love him doing that piano.
Yeah. And that's when, if I remember correctly, that's when he's in the auction.
Yeah,
that is correct. The auction where this old school thing, I don't know if anybody ever does that anymore now, but there used to be this thing where you would auction bachelors.
Yep.
For dates. You would do it with women too, but it always felt more weird doing it with women, where it would be like this bachelor, and sometimes they'd even be just like a married dude, but that people like.
Yeah.
And the idea was whoever bid the most money to charity, you'd go out to dinner with them. And
the entire town's calling him
They all
up.
want him, but I forget, what was the number? Do you remember? Like, did she say like $2,000,
$200 and such and such cents?
She had the most amount of money. She like bid this insane amount of money.
Yeah.
So now they're on a date that she's paid to go on with him.
Yep.
Because he's the best version of himself. Yeah. He spent a lifetime kind of squandering so much, and now he's done a lot of living.
Yeah.
In that same day over and over. Learning to play the piano is a great metaphor for learning and growing and becoming a better person.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he's doing the entirety of that latter half of his torment.
Yeah, and I mean, and at this event, everybody's stopping him, thanking him for saving Buster's life. He gives a young Michael Shannon in his film feature debut WrestleMania tickets.
Oh yeah, WrestleMania.
Yeah, to him and his new wife. I mean, he's recognized by everybody. So when he goes to this charity auction, they go up. And one of my favorite things before we get out of the charity auction is Larry goes up.
Yes, he does.
And no one's bidding. And so Buster's like, I'll start the bidding at 50 cents. And this woman goes, sold.
Yeah. $2.
So that's when, he's taken up ice sculpting. So he goes outside, carves her a beautiful ice sculpture while she has her eyes closed and shows it to her at the end. Tells her that no matter what happens, even if he's trapped in this loop forever, he's happy to finally be with her.
Yeah.
And they have a great night together. They share a kiss. They go to his room. And that's when, they have this beautiful time together on the bed, just talking and everything. And eventually they both fall asleep. They wake up and we hear, I got you, babe. And then we also hear the DJs going, oh, I can't believe you're playing that song again. And we realize it's February 3rd.
Yes.
The curse is broken.
Yes.
So,
and they had a very special night in Punxsutawney.
They had a very special night, and that's when, Rita is the one that turns off the alarm clock, because that's the fake out, is we first hear the I got you, babe, and it's just him in bed, but then her arm goes over, hits the alarm clock, and that's when we know that everything's all good.
Again, show don't tell.
Yep. So that's when, they jump out of bed, run downstairs, and, he tells Rita that he wants to live in Punxsutawney. He carries her out the front of the gate, which they couldn't open because it was frozen. Fun fact I'll tell you here in a second again.
Yeah. I mean, it checks out. It gets very cold.
But yeah, basically the movie ends that Phil has become a new person. He's seen the error of his ways, and also by doing that has escaped his hell, his own personal hell that he was trapped in. And what I love about this ending is there's no explanation. We don't.
No, and there shouldn't be.
No, absolutely
That's the best part. The curse was lifted when he learned a lesson.
Yeah.
And that lesson, I think, was to stop wasting your time.
Yeah. No, it absolutely is. And I mean, there's so much that we skipped over in regards to all the things that happen. There's so much you can't recap. It's a
classic. There's so much to it. But what I've always felt like it was a great example of a film.
It absolutely is. It's a perfect film. It has so much heart to it. It has so many moments that you'll laugh at, cry at. I just cannot recommend this movie enough. And that is 1993's Groundhog Day.
One of the finest films, and a great example of the, in my opinion, kind of the beginning of Harold Ramis really being forever.
Yeah.
A massive part of film history.
No, absolutely. And so would you like to guess? This is the weirdest budget I've come across, by the way.
Oh, is it in shekels?
No.
Oh, is it in rubles?
It's estimated with two amounts, and they're pretty wide from each other.
I'm listening.
14.6 to 30 million.
14.6 to 30. Could it be like, do they attribute why they have two numbers?
Just says IMDb, just has that listed on it, and so does Wikipedia, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, if Wikipedia says it, we know it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be it's probably not adjusted for inflation. They'd probably say that if it was.
Yeah.
That's quite a difference. I mean, I could believe both.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Harold Ramis. I mean, 14 million was not nothing back then, even though it was, a little on the low side for a movie with it says 14.6 to 30 million.
Yeah.
It just depends on who you ask. That's ridiculous.
So it opens February 14th in 1993, so Valentine's Day. Takes in 12 million, 12.5, and then grosses worldwide 71 million. It was a hit.
Yeah, for that time period, a major hit.
So, some fun things about the film, and not so fun. There are exactly 38 days depicted in this film, either partially or in full.
Okay, that sounds about right. Because that's the cruel irony of this movie.
Yeah,
is it doesn't wear out its welcome, as it literally is. The point is to be repetitive. You've heard that meme, right? Where it's like, I want to hear they announce a sequel to Groundhog Day and then just release Groundhog
the same
Day.
One, yeah. Well, speaking of which, remember when our buddy Rob?
I was about to mention.
God damn,
our buddy
dude.
Rob did I can't remember if it was I think it was
24 hours, 12 showings in a row,
and he sat through the entire thing.
Yeah,
and I think you win a prize.
You won. I think it was like 15 movie passes. Like it was a big deal
So
because
great.
you could not sleep. You had to stay awake the entire time. You had to interact because it was like every time Ned Ryerson was said, you had to say "bing."
Bing!
Yeah. So I got you, babe. You had to sing along with "I got you, babe." He told me about it, and I'm just like, dude, I couldn't do it. I remember he did that because we were all talking about it in the chat. He's like, I just want to do it for you guys. And I was like, dude, you didn't have to, but that's pretty cool.
I was like, if you don't do this, we're not friends anymore.
So the movie shot on location in Illinois for 2 weeks. Reshoots and additional scenes that were needed in the film were shot back at the Universal Studios in Los Angeles.
That makes sense, yeah.
The film was not filmed in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, but actually in Woodstock, Illinois, just 50 miles from Bill Murray's hometown of Wilmette, Illinois. There is a small plaque that reads, "Bill Murray stepped here," on the curb where Murray continually steps into a puddle. There is another plaque on the building wall corner that says Ned's Corner, where Phil Connors was continually accosted by Ned Ryerson. During the Ned scene, the sign for Woodstock Jewelers is clearly seen in the background.
That makes sense to film in Illinois too, because they have pretty intense winters, so you can have that snowy look to it. Because when you think holiday movies, like when you think a Christmas movie, you think snow, but in actuality, in most of the United States and most of the world, there's really not a ton of snow in December on average. In fact, I think I've talked about this before, but apparently I read this, and it could be total bullshit, but I read that Charles Dickens, when he was growing up, it was just a very cold time period in London or in the part of England he grew up in. So there was always snow in December when he was growing up during his formative years. And that's why when he wrote about Christmas, there was tons of snow. It was his
interpretation.
Well, it was his nostalgia for the holiday. Yeah. And that became everybody's, to where we all want a white Christmas, even though we all know, I know people love to be like, when I was a kid, 15 feet of snow. Listen, I had Christmases in New Hampshire where legitimately my dad would be like, they're saying 3 feet tomorrow. We better go get some milk. And I'd be like, 3 feet? And we're in New Hampshire. It was 3 feet.
Yeah.
But I like to look at data. I don't like to rely on my stupid memory that is stupid, except when it comes to apparently Dickens facts.
Dickens facts.
But which I have a lot of. But I remember there being many Christmases where we might have gotten a dusting of snow before Christmas, but maybe there was no snow on the ground. I remember even as a kid going, God, I hope we have snow on the ground at Christmas. So but my point is that Groundhog's Day is the beginning of February, a time when you really, you never know.
No.
You might get an assload of snow. Like here in the Midwest where we are, outside of Dayton, Ohio, the Paris of Ohio. We got a crazy snowstorm and then a crazy cold snap. And now they're saying it's going to be warm for a few weeks, but I would not be surprised if we had a couple big snows still.
Did we not have snow last year in April?
I don't think we had in April. We definitely had March. We get a lot of snow in March. More than you'd think. Lousy smarch weather.
Because, that sometimes the snow, I love being snowed inside, and sometimes I don't.
Oh, yeah? Does it just depend on if the twins are in the hallway?
Could be.
Is the problem with the snow for you, is it that when you see the snow falling, you like a part of you is like, it's beautiful like Christmas, and the other part of you is like,
red rum.
No, the other part is just like, I'm not going to take the snow off the hood of my car. I'm not. You should have never shared that publicly.
No, I shouldn't.
That's on the record forever.
And could be used against me.
Oh, it will.